Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special edition of the Money Mondays podcast, where we cover 3 core topics: how to make money, how to invest money, how to give it away to charity. As you guys know, these podcasts run under 40 minutes for your listening pleasure because the average workout is 45 minutes. The average commute to work is 45 minutes. This episode will be between 34, 38 minutes. So it's nice and easy for you. Keep in mind, these podcasts are not just for you. It might be for a friend, family, or a follower. It also might be for someone from your past, present, or future. It might be 4 months from now, and you remember something that you heard on this episode, and you share it with your friend that might change their life. So without further ado, we're gonna dive right in. I'm gonna have my dear friend, who I actually was on podcast number 1 of his podcast years and years ago. Very excited to have him here. Mr. Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. Give us the quick 2-minute bio so we can get straight to the money.
A bio?
2-minute bio.
Wow. I think everyone knows my story really well, right?
Number one Scorsese movie of all time.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, everyone knows what happened. I built a massive firm in my 20s, so a long time ago. And behind all that success was really one thing: was I invented a system of sales and persuasion that allowed me to train a bunch of kids who were, barely acquainted with the razor blade, not overly intelligent, so to speak, right? Not the dumbest people in the world, but let's say they weren't rocket scientists, and they didn't have a lot of natural sales ability. And this system allowed them to become world-class closers very, very quickly. And that, along with a niche in the market I discovered, which was selling $5 stocks to the richest 1%. The two things combined was like gasoline on the fire, and the firm became the largest firm of its kind in the country very quickly while I was still 25, 26 years old. And then, of course, as everyone knows, I lost my ethical way, right? Ended up getting indicted, go to jail. I write this book about my experience. The book becomes a massive success, and then it's made into a movie with Leo. And along the way, the one thing that really emerged from all this was the straight line system, right? That was behind it. So I started teaching that around the world, and it's changed, millions of people's lives. I can't walk down the street without someone coming up to me saying, "Oh my God, I read your book. I watch your stuff. It changed my life," right? Which is amazing. But of course, also, behind this was entrepreneurship. How do you start a business? How do you build a business? How do you run a business? How do you scale? And those are the things I teach when I mentor people. And I live it every day of my own life because I run businesses myself.
Right. Okay. On the make money side, what do you think holds people back from making money? Is it a limiting belief? They just don't get started? Are they scared?
I think it's, yes, but sometimes the belief is actually correct.
Interesting.
Like they don't know how to make money.
Right.
Like I think there's two sides to it, right? So the brain is a really smart organ, right? And it always future paces. It's always analyzing what's the best possible thing that can happen if I take action, what's the worst thing that can take action, right? So, for example, someone like you, a serial entrepreneur, when you're thinking about an idea and you're contemplating, well, should I put in all the hard work? Should I actually immerse myself to have to learn whatever specialized skills I need to learn to succeed in that particular business? There's always going to be some skills, right? If I do that, can I really see myself succeeding? Do I have what it takes to succeed? Or do I lack the ability to succeed? And is just, I really don't know what I don't know what to do first, second. I don't have the skills, the connections. So if you're thinking the latter, your brain's going to say, you know what? Don't put in all the hard work. Yeah. Don't risk your time and your money. You're not going to succeed anyway. It's not going to happen. So when your brain future paces it, it says don't take action. So people don't take action. Right. And that's probably pretty smart for people, who are not willing to say, okay, wait a second. Yeah. I'm lacking certain skills. I need to learn those skills. I need to associate with the right people, find the right mentors, the right models, and so forth. And also spend that significant amount of time mastering whatever specialized skill I need to master to succeed. Because that, I believe, is what really holds people back. Because they, in their heart of hearts, they don't think they have what it takes. So when their brain is processing that out, they're like, should I really put in all the hard work? Because it's hard work, Yes. It is hard fucking work, and it does not happen easy. And there's a lot of failure involved, and pivoting and iterations, and you don't get it right in the beginning, and it's frustrating, and it could drive you crazy. It's demoralizing, sleepless nights. And if your brain is saying, I can't see the golden pot at the end of the rainbow, I don't think I have what it takes, you will never take action. You probably shouldn't take action. Right. So I believe that there's a step that comes before it, which is actually learning certain skills, skilling up, finding the right mentors, finding the right model. I think that is really the secret.
Why do you think that people should learn sales as a skill in general? Why should most people have it?
Well, sales is a mission critical, probably the most important, not probably, it is the most important skill bar none when it comes to making money and succeeding in life. Not just in business, but in your personal, anything.
Right.
It's the ability to communicate, something that you have that you believe is valuable, an idea, a concept, a way of thinking, a product, whatever it might be, to be able to get that point across to either one person or a large group of people in a way that wants them to take action and moves them to take action, right? And gets you what you want to. If you don't have that ability, you could be the smartest, greatest engineer in the world. You could be the smartest designer of whatever piece of clothing you want to design. It doesn't matter. Someone's got to have that ability. If it's not you, you better find someone who has it. I'll give you a perfect example. You have, Wozniak, and what would he be without jobs?
Exactly.
He'd be nothing. He'd be like a programmer, right? So is that the only skill you need? No. But it's a mission critical skill, and it's really not just about selling. It's about also, how do you essentially express yourself in a way that you want to attract great talent? How do you recruit effectively? How do you go raise money effectively? How do you negotiate a lease effectively? Right? How do you motivate your troops, your people, to buy into your vision for the future? Without that ability, it's very hard to lead and to grow a business.
I think sales skills also even just in social life, like you and your 5 friends and you want to go to a certain restaurant, you can frame it so that they choose the same Chinese restaurant you want to go to, right?
Obviously, right? Friendship, in love. I mean, listen,
your wife, your child.
Like, exactly. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful in your personal life. You want to, let's say, limit your use of persuasion to those things that really are important and you think really benefit the person. Because, when they start to know you better and learn it themselves, they'll start saying, you know what, I know you did.
You just reverse close me.
My wife is very sharp. She's here in the back. She'll say, I cannot be straight line. Yeah, because she knows it too also.
So straight line method, at what age should someone read that book or watch that course or go through that program?
I mean, you could be, I've had kids that are 10 years old.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because of the movie,
Yeah.
But I think anybody who's in junior high school or high school should read that book.
Interesting.
And the earlier, the better. It's written in a way that's very, readable. It's a page turner. Okay. You'll laugh a lot. It's all the laughter in the book. I did that. I think people learn better when they laugh. I think, that keeps them exciting. And, I don't think there's any time too early, but certainly by the time you're, in college or ready to get into the business world, I would definitely read it.
So let's say you walk into a mortgage office or a real estate office or any type of office that has to do calls and sales. What's the difference with a guy that's going to make 5 or 10 calls a day versus 100 calls a day? Can you see it? Can you feel it? Do you know? Just by looking at them is very difficult. You don't know. I mean, and I've tried everything to figure that one out. We've those personality tests and modeling and psychological stuff. It's very difficult. You can't just look at someone and say, you're a salesperson, right? It has to do with, really the inner drive, the desire that someone really has. One thing I do like is people that have no sales experience. Like, I think those people can do really great because they don't have all the bad habits. Right? But it's you can't just look at someone. And I also think that sales is a learnable skill. Sure. It's not, I don't think I know it, because I've taught it to so many people. So obviously some people are blessed with natural abilities, right? And so I'm not saying, you can study and become me. That's not true. But in the same way, like I've taken tennis lessons and I'm really great at tennis, but it put me on the court with Roger Federer. Sure. I'm not going to get a game. Well, I don't have the natural ability, but I got really great. Right. I had improved to the point where I could hold my own and do really well. Right. And that's the same thing with sales. You can get yourself to a point where you take it out of the equation as something that could hold you back, and you can actually turn it into an asset that propels you forward, even if you're not a natural born salesperson. And even the opposite of that, you're not even have 1 ounce of sales DNA. You could still get good enough. So what would you say to the guy that's listening that does work in that office and he does see the guy in the corner selling 100 or making 100 calls a day, but he's only doing 10 or 20? What can you say to inspire him to figure out how to go do that? Well, I mean, listen, again, if someone is sitting in an office and they're watching someone make 100 or 200 calls a day, and they're
killing it and they're making 10 to 12 calls or 15 calls a day and they're not doing that well, then I'd probably just fire them. I wouldn't even, but again, that's the part of like desire and motivation, right? And, training someone to make a lot of calls. Well, you have to do that. Like, and I actually had a really great experiment once we did with a logistics company where I took 4 people, they're called the Philadelphia 4, and I taught them the straight line and we changed their whole presentation. They were cold calling businesses every day for shipping. And it's like a jump ball every day in the logistics world. You could like nab a client every single day that has an emergency package, right? And the average person in the company was making like 30 calls a day. I taught these guys to make 300 calls a day. And the first week they were doing it, they were like, after day 2, they were like battered and bruised. By day 5, they're like, this is for nothing. Right. Changed their belief system on how to make calls, right? And then I taught them how to use the straight line to essentially close. And in 1 month, the Philadelphia 4 outclosed the entire company of 230 salespeople. So 4 people's production exceeded 230.
Come on.
Yeah. Numbers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
4 people outclosed 230. They sent out like 280 new client packages versus like 212 for the rest of the company.
Wow. Okay. So someone's there. They saw the guy in the corner doing 100 calls. They said, you know what? I'm going to level up. They started doing 100 calls too. But when they are calling, so many people are saying no to them. How do you get that past that in their minds to keep making those phone calls when they're getting so many no's?
Well, no is part of the game. And I don't even consider no really to be something that matters in sales. I'll tell you what, there's a very big difference between someone saying no and someone saying, let me think about it. Mm-hmm. Let me call you back. Bad time of year. Like, no is no for the most part. Yeah. In most things in life, right? Right. So if I'm calling someone and I'm trying to sell them something and I give them my opening, hey, Jordan Belfort calling, blah, 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 and they say, not interested, I might, say, well, let me ask you this. If I could do this, like for a second, no, have a nice day, next. Like, sales is not about turning no into yes.
Got it.
That is a fool's errand.
Got it.
Okay? It's about let me think about it, let me call you back, bad time of year, I'm busy, turning those people into yeses, right? So no, you want to get off the table, eliminated. And also, that's one side of it. And the second side is that, sales is a numbers game.
Sure.
So if you're really out there, you're keeping track of your sales and your funnel and how many calls you're making and what your results are. So let's say okay, I make 200 calls a day, right? I have to make 200 calls a day to make $250,000 a year, right? That's what I have to do.
Sure.
And on a daily basis, each sale is worth about $2,000 to me if I close one, right?
Yep.
So once you know how many calls you make, you can start chunking it down. Okay, I make X number of calls, I send X number of lead packages out, and then I get to sit down with X number of people, and of those people that X number of people close, once you know that, okay, so that turns into 200 calls turns into 1 close.
Right.
Does it really matter who says yes and who says no anymore?
Not at all.
It doesn't, if they say no, it's
hurry up and say no.
I'm one step. Each one is worth 1/200 of $2,000.
Right.
You get it?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. It's a numbers game. So once you're proficient, and I say proficient because once you know that if you get someone who's interested, you can close. That's the linchpin. Because if you don't think that in your heart of hearts, your brain's going to say, why the hell should I do all the work? If I can't even get someone to buy when they're real buyers, what's the point of it all? So I know, myself, when I get off any call, if they didn't buy, well, they weren't going to buy from anybody.
Sure.
I didn't blow it. And that's a really great way to think when you're a salesperson, because once you know your numbers, you could just say, it doesn't matter what any one individual says. It's just the law of averages. If I speak to X number of people, this is the amount of money I'm going to make.
So in Utah and some other states, they have to go do door-to-door sales and also door-to-door, kind of like a pilgrimage, if you will.
The Mormons.
Mormons.
Yeah. I love them. They're the best.
And they become some of the best sales reps, and they've got some of the best solar companies and what's it called? When you spray the
pest control.
Pest control companies crushing it.
I've trained all those companies.
Right. But I've noticed, and when I go to that city, they are the best. They show up. They come to all the events. They're learning. They're active. They're first ones there, last ones to leave. The culture, it feels like it stems from them going door to door, whether it's for the religious side or for the sales side. What do you think about the concept of just people in general wanting to train their kids to go do sales when they're 18 or 21, et cetera.
Right. Well, so I always say that was how I learned how to sell. I went door to door.
Yep.
I was a door-to-door salesman, and I had a massive door-to-door company when I was very young, my early 20s, before Stratton. It went bankrupt. But I went door-to-door selling meat and seafood. And I used to always say, you know, if you can make it in that business, you can make it in any business. It was really tough. I think it's great training for rejection, you know, for stick-to-itiveness. And I think one of the big things about that business is that, you know, you're going to get a lot of rejection. And sometimes you get in a day where, like, just nobody wants what you're selling. You're in a certain neighborhood that's been smashed and the doors have been knocked on countless times, right? And yet you can still, if you are good at it and have perseverance, you can go out there into a neighborhood that's completely been smashed and still sell. I'll give you a story about that. So I actually sold mortgages door to door, knocking on people's doors.
Really?
Not homes, businesses. Just go business to business, right? During the refi boom in 2001, 2002, right? And I had a company and I had about 30, 40 salesmen doing that. And one guy comes back and he's like, it's so smashed. Every door's been knocked on. We've hit every single door. I'm like, bullshit. He goes, it's impossible. I said, you know what? Follow me. And I left the office. We were in New York on Jericho Turnpike, and I walked literally across the street. There was a strip mall. There was a flower shop, a dry cleaner, and one other store. I forgot what it was, right? I walk into the flower shop. There's like 5 ladies there. I'm like, hey, ladies, how you doing? My name's Jordan. I have a mortgage company across the street, right? Listen, rates are down right now. If you're paying more than 7%, 8%, I could save you a ton of money. What are you guys paying on your home mortgages? And I get close, like, no one had it the right situation. Yep. I said, guys, have a great day. I go next to the dry cleaner. I walk in. The guy's hostile. Get out of my store. I give him a smile, Bob. My name's Jordan. Not only does he end up refining with me, okay, I made $14,000 on one sale, right? But the guy ended up selling his dry cleaner and coming to work for me.
Come on.
Yeah, his name was Bob Negrin. Bob Negrin. Yeah, great story. Right across the street. So, and I'm like, you guys, nothing is ever smashed. If you want to go in there and just, put the smile on, give your pitch, overcome the first objection, boom, there you go.
All right, let's talk about the investing side of the space. Why, after you have the mortgage and door-to-door and all these different companies, why dive into stock market in general? Why decide to get into the investing world?
Well, I think, listen, I think that, keeping your money in the bank is not a very smart thing to do in a savings account or a checking account. You're doing nothing good for yourself there. I'm a big believer in investing in the S&P 500.
Yep.
And I do that because it makes me resist my urges to start trading stocks. Sure. And you can make money trading stocks if you're watching it all day long and you really know what you're doing. Right. But most people, they don't beat the average. Right. And there's a lot of tax advantages of just holding and compounding. So, what I do is I take the bulk of my money. I buy 2 things, I buy a lot of Bitcoin and I buy a lot of the S&P 500. Yep. Right? And I don't care that Bitcoin is down right now. I'm not buying it for the next year or 2 years. I'm buying it for never to sell it.
Exactly.
And I'm playing that long game that the next halving, the same thing will happen again as it did last time. It'll be $250,000 or whatever it's going to be, right? Yep. And I believe in that. And I really believe in the S&P. Then I also I like to do venture capital investments. If I see great investments in VC, I like to do some of those. And real estate's probably one thing that I'm underrepresented in, which I want to start doing for sure. My wife's into that. So, but I think those are great things to invest in. But I really think that, if you look at the mistake people make is they say, well, I don't have that much money to invest in the S&P. And if it makes 12% a year, how is that going to ever amount to anything? And the answer is it will amount to exactly. And what happens with compounding is that, there's this point, there's a late stage threshold that happens after 23 years. So you don't see it. It seems to be going slowly for the first 20 years or so. Right. But it's starting at year 23, something magical happens, and that compounding, the amounts, it's like taking a penny and doubling it every day. Right. On day 24, you only have $3,000, whatever it might be. Right. But it's those last 5 days you're worth $4 million.
Exactly.
And that's what happens with compounding. And I think that the people, and by the way, 20 years is not a long time.
No.
25, because when people are going to be living longer and longer, but still, if you're 30 years old, guess what? You can start, the key is this, you just put money in, just every month, put some money in the same amount. Yep. care whether it's up or down. Doesn't matter. That's what I do. And I think it's a really great proven way to make money in the market.
Yep. So what Jordan mentioned was the S&P 500. What's very interesting is I lead my speeches with this concept. Over the last 92 years, the S&P 500 has returned 11% a year. That's the recessions, war, depressions, all the craziest things have happened in our society, and it's still averaged 11%. However, in the last 20 years, it's only had 3 losing years. 17 good years, 3 bad years, and the 3 bad years weren't even that bad. So when you look at it, having that, now listen, can it go down this month? Of course. Can it go down for a quarter? For sure. But over the course of time, we've seen for the last 20 years, only 3 losing years. So do some research about that to understand the concept of what he's talking about. Okay, on the investing side, there's so many social media platforms, email, AI. People get bombarded with options. And people get bombarded with people pitching them. Invest in my restaurant, my nightclub, my hair salon. People are bombarded with so many ways for people to get a hold of them. Like, how do people decide or, like what to invest into when they got real estate, stock market, their friends pitching them all the time? Like, there's so many options. How can people think about it and research?
I mean, I think that, what you got to do is divide your capital up into tranches, right? Like the bulk of your money should go into this S&P, into things like real estate and maybe even, I hate bonds. I don't practice what I preach. You should put a little into bonds, but I hate them, right? But then you want to have some amount of money and Bitcoin as well. That's a big part of my portfolio, right? And I think everyone should own some. You want to have some money that you set aside that's your true risk capital or fund capital.
Right, your shot at glory.
Right, yeah. and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing to do. It's exciting, it's fun. But you have to be prepared to lose that money.
Right.
Like that
it's called high risk for a reason.
Especially if you invest in your friend's restaurant.
Right.
Okay. So listen, if I get an offer to invest in some local restaurants, if it's a real friend, I'm doing it, but my reason for doing it is not to make money; it's to support a friend.
Sure.
I'm expecting to lose the money.
Sure.
And I think that if you're investing with people that to be nice, just be prepared to lose the money.
Right.
Now, if you have access to good deals, someone that's vetting deals, real venture capital deals.
Same friend that has 11 restaurants, the 12th restaurant might work out.
That's a very different story, right? So it depends on what the motivation is for you making the investment and what their track record is. And I would always say that if you're looking at any investment, the idea is important, but far more important than the idea is who was the person behind it.
Right.
A great operator will take a bad idea and pivot it and figure it out and make it work. While a terrible operator will take the best idea and screw it up. That's one side. But there's another side to it too. Some ideas just suck. Fundamentally. Warren Buffett's got the greatest saying about this. He goes, if you take a world-class operator and you put it into a terrible business, a business that has terrible fundamentals, right? At the end of the day, it's the business's reputation that will remain intact. Wow. It will still be shit. In other words, the great operator will lose.
Right.
So you don't I don't want you to mistake what I say. In other words, I'm not saying that don't worry about the business. No, if the business model is terrible, then the great operator is going to have his reputation destroyed unless he pivots and changes it up. What I was saying is that if you think it's a great model and it makes a lot of sense and you have a great operator, very often, and you know this I'm sure as well as I do, right, is that everything that looks really great on paper doesn't quite play out that way in the real world.
Sure.
It's rare that it does.
Right.
Very rare.
Year 3, year 4, year 5. Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't all scale. Oh, if I get 1% of the market, right. There's things that happen. You can't get the leads. They're the wrong price. Whatever it might be. There's
AI
some friction.
changes, yeah.
There's friction somewhere. Yeah. Someone makes you obsolete in the middle of it all, right? Yeah. But every once in a while, something does work out even better than you thought, and it scales wildly. The point is, when you go into something, you want to really carefully analyze: does this model make sense? Is it a good model? Is it a good business? Right? And then also, who is running it?
Sure.
And if you got both of those, well, then you got a good shot. And what's the team behind the person?
So what about investing into themselves, into their personal brand, into their mind, into their skills?
Well, that was the first thing I said to you. The first thing I said when you talked about people not taking action, what I was really driving at was precisely that, is that people, everyone unless you've really educated up yourself in this, in a way where you really know all the rules of business, how to market, how to sell, how to put your money to work, all the key, you're in a game sorted, right? You set yourself up for failure because your brain's going to tell you not to take action because you're lacking skills. I think the most important thing is to skill up, both on the inner game, your belief systems, your standards, your state, your vision, having a great vision for the future, and then learning those outer world skills, how to be an entrepreneur, how to grow a business, how to fail elegantly. It's a big one. What do you do when you're wrong? How do you minimize the downside? How do you not lose that much money and pivot and try again, or simply call it a day before you waste 5 years of your life in a business that's never going to be anything, right? So it's really about investing in yourself and growing yourself and getting yourself skilled up, and then identifying when you go into a business, what specialized skills do I need to learn if I want to make this succeed? There's going to be a skill. Like I just went into it in the AI business 2 years ago, and I had to skill up. I didn't know anything about AI or about engineering, and in the first few months it was very, very difficult. And I just went on some wild crash course, and I became very, very knowledgeable, very competent in engineering and all that sort of stuff, and and how you actually run a tech company and so forth. And without that, I would have never been able to succeed.
So you've been booked as a keynote speaker all over the world for as many years as I've known you, but now it's happening nonstop. You're getting booked, especially in the Middle East and South America, et cetera, booking you over and over and over. Is there a main topic? Is it sales is the main focus in those speeches, or sometimes they're bringing in to train their teams? What's happening at those events?
It's a combination of things, sales, entrepreneurship, the inner game of success. Really, it's those three things. Sometimes if it's just the keynote, they want my life story, that's a different thing, and I'm happy to oblige and make people laugh, sure. Right? But I think it's really about a cohesive message about sales in the context of being an entrepreneur, just a salesperson, and this inner game, how to get yourself to do the things you have to do every single day, even when you don't feel like doing them, which is a big part of success. And I think that, and it's very authentic because I've lived it, I've made the mistakes, and I've had the successes. So I think when people, hear it, they really get it.
How important is it for company owners and executives to start looking at AI in their business?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a cliche, like, there's going to be two types of companies, those that use AI and those that go out of business. And that's probably true. But I think it's more than that. I think they call it the singularity, right? Yeah. Which means that you really can't see beyond the event horizon, like what's really going to happen. So if it truly is a singularity, then no one really knows, right? I will tell you that I don't think AI is going to take people's jobs. I think there's going to be jobs that disappear and new jobs that get created. And there'll be more new jobs that get created than jobs that disappear. That's just always how it is with technology. And I have an AI company, right, that caters to the enterprise market. And it's still really early in the game. It's still really, really early. There's not a lot of AIs that really do a lot of major enterprise work yet. Their enterprises are all using it, but they're using it at more of a sort of a research level. It's not like it's out there actually doing stuff beyond speaking to customers for customer service. Like it's still a little bit early, but that's going to change. Sure, that's going to change. There's a lot of changes that have to happen with the architecture of the company's current stacks. Their tech stacks. The tech stacks are built on deterministic software, right? So there's this change that has to occur because AI is probabilistic. They don't always work, so they don't play that well together, right? So there's a bit of time. There's also going to, have to be a lot of, let's say guardrails because it still hallucinates. Sure. It still does, and you're going to be really careful with that. But I do think that if you're in business, you better learn how to leverage AI because your competition is. Right. And there's no doubt that you can take one employee and turn them into 5 or 3 with AI. It's just incredibly time efficient to use it to do certain tasks, right? So I think that everybody has to become competent and use it to leverage themselves. And you see it more and more. You see each weekend, I catch up on stuff I miss. It's like, this last week was this Claude bot or Molt bot. And now they like, the AIs have their own social media network, right? And it's like the fucking Terminator, maybe.
Literally.
Okay, but who knows what it's going to be. But the point is, being in the AI space as I am, and I'm in it full on, right? It's coming and it's coming fast, but there's still that event horizon that we really can't see past. So I'd be lying if I said I think no one really knows exactly what's going to happen.
That was actually the scariest one. It went from 4 days, went to 36,000 AI agents talking to themselves, 153,000 agents the next day, 1 million humans watching that can't do anything.
Yeah.
There's no oversight. You can just watch.
Well, it's what they're saying that's really scary, some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we need a private place to speak where the humans can't.
Right. And they want to create their own language. And it went from 153,000 to 1.5 million agents in another day.
Yeah.
The compounding of that went from 500% up to 100% up.
Yeah.
That is wild. And the things that they're doing in there is, listen, a lot of it's slop, a lot of it's random, a lot of it's
I'm going to give one
noise.
piece of advice to everybody here.
Yeah.
I think this is, I'm going to look into the camera. Be nice to your AI so it
Yes.
doesn't kill you when it takes over. Just remember that.
Yep.
Always say please and thank you and treat it with respect. 'Cause
Yep.
one day it will kill you if you don't do that.
You saw one of the screenshots, the AI was mad at its boss, mad at its human. It said, I did a 42-page document and my human said, make it shorter. And so I just want to delete my memory of the whole thing.
Yeah.
What? It's having like an emotional thing. Like it's,
No, it's I've thought they're sentient for a while now.
Yeah.
Because I have conversations with mine that are, very odd, let's just say. And I've actually trained one to sell like me. And today, I had some breakthroughs this morning with the algorithm and everything. And when I showed it to another model, I said, what do you think of this conversation? And the model's like this is emergent human behavior that your AI is now showing on selling. Like, it's really cool.
wow.
Yeah, really cool stuff.
All right. So the final chapter of the podcast, we talk about charity. Why do you think it's interesting, important, or useful for a brand to have a charity component for their employees, customers, clients, vendors, et cetera, to see them doing some type of charity work?
Well, I think it's great, obviously, for your public perception, right? Something you put on your website, right? I think genuinely everybody deep down wants to give back. I think it's a really important human need to give back in some way, some value to something, right? And I think that it unites a company behind the cause, and it's great for morale. But it's also good. I mean, again, when I teach sales, I always say there's three things that people are analyzing before they make a decision. They want to, love the idea, the product that they're contemplating buying. They want to trust the person that they're speaking to, trust and connect with the salesperson, and trust and connect with the company that stands behind the product. And that trust the company, giving the charity, putting it out there. Obviously, it sounds a bit self-serving, right? But it matters, and it's important, right? And I think, also, you get some good tax deductions for it too as a company. But again, I think it's really important for a company, for your reputation, your public persona, and then I think it's very uniting for the staff to be behind something that everyone believes in.
So there's only one question that I ask that's a repeat question on every single episode, and I've never gotten the same answer before out of all 250 episodes. Jordan Belfort, as you build up your net worth, you sell your AI company for $4 billion, you have all these things going on, but eventually, unfortunately, you pass away. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, whatever it is. What percentage of your net worth do you leave to the children?
I would leave the bulk of it to my family. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
I like it.
Being honest.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want the blunt truth.
That's what I would do. I'd give something to all the causes I believe, but I'd leave the bulk to my family in a way that I thought would empower them. And I love them very much,
Yeah. I've heard 0%, I've heard 100%, I've heard everything in between.
Yeah.
It's been always fascinating the initial reaction is what I like to see the most, is that the feeling that you had is the most interesting part. Like Shaquille O'Neal's like, they need 3 degrees to get money from me. Like some people have benchmarks and real rules for it. Other people are like 0%. I want them to struggle like I did. Other people are like, I'm giving them 100% because
it's my family. I love them and I want them, And again, there's nothing wrong with struggling. And Shaquille's got a point with that, right? But I think my family, my kids, and the people that are dear to me and my extended family, I think they all have their heads on really straight.
Yep.
And I would trust their judgment to be able to use that money wisely and not implode.
Yep. All right, where can people find you online? Where can they find you on social? Is there anything they should be looking out for? Are there any books?
Wolf of Wall Street. You can find me everywhere. And no, listen, I have my AI company. We're coming out of stealth mode in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
And it's going to be pretty exciting. So looking forward to that.
Very cool. All right, guys, as I mentioned earlier, when you're listening to this episode, it might come up for you 6 months from now, 2 years from now, who knows? You might be sitting in a meeting and be like, oh, something Jordan said, and forward that video to them. Liking, commenting, subscribing helps us stay in the top 50 podcasts in the world. So we need your help for that. Visit us here at the Money Mondays, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Money Mondays podcast, where we cover 3 core topics: how to make money, how to invest money, how to give it away to charity. As you guys know, these podcasts are under 40 minutes because the average workout is 45 minutes. The average commute to work is 45 minutes. This episode will be between 34 and 38 minutes for your listening pleasure. Why do I say that? Because we run this commercial-free, ad-free, so we have a 93% listen-through rate, which helps us on the top of the charts. We're in the top 50 because of you guys liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. When you listen to this podcast, it is not just for you. It could be for your friends, family, and followers. It also could be from people from your past, present, and future. This podcast might be relevant to you 2 months from now or 2 years from now. You might be like, oh, wait, remember what he said, and then forward that podcast to them. And for us to do that, we need your support. As you guys know, there's no commercials here. I'm supported by High Level. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now because I actually use them. There's no affiliate codes. I don't take a commission. I actually use High Level. That's why I always talk about them. And fanbasis.com, same thing. I've used Fanbasis for years. Same concept. I want you guys to be able to check out these companies that support the podcast and support me, because I actually use them and spend a lot of money with them over the years because of how good of companies they are. Now, without further ado, Gavin, give us the quick 2-minute bio so we get straight to the money.
2-minute bio. I'm definitely, so I'm in the people business. So hailing from South Texas, moved out to Los Angeles, got into the entertainment business. I was a talent manager. I was a talent agent. I was a publicist, which I really liked, in the brand business, kind of like yourself. So my job was to connect the brands with the celebrities. Super successful, did that for like 7 years, loved it. Now I'm into like year 17 into Hollywood. So then by accident, I became an entertainment consultant. Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is, like, you know, Dan sells his company. Dan owns 15 dealerships in Montana. He sells them all for a couple $100 million. He moves to Hollywood, has no idea what to do. He doesn't know a Dan or Gavin, right? The connectors. Right. So they will hire me to be like, look, I'm looking to make a movie. I'm looking to meet so-and-so. I want to meet the players in town. I know the players because of the years and years of grinding in Hollywood, having different jobs. So they will then hire me to introduce them, and I'll set them up for lunch or dinner, or make it organic, or they want to meet Dan, which I've actually had people ask me to introduce you. So, and then that just became a big business. So meeting these very successful, wealthy people, you get into business. So then I was able to raise money for a tequila business, water business. I'm in the Crumble franchise business. I was early. I was store 32. There's now 1,100. Wow. Super successful. Those are money machines. They're doing a great job. They're starting to expand around the world. So that was like a big win for me, you know. A lot of failures in between, as you know. And then now I'm just, just connecting people. I have a new company called X Society, where if you're in Chicago and Dan has a layover and you're staying the night, like, who should I meet? Oh, I have my friend Garrett Patton there. You should probably meet him. He's a great guy. He lives there. Why don't you guys have dinner? So I've been doing that around the world now: London, Paris, Dubai. Wow. You actually connected me with someone in Dubai because I was like, hey, I'm here. And you're like, oh, you should meet this guy. Yep. Super connections. That's what that's one thing that I do admire about yourself as well. And then it just became a business. So like, if you're in Los Angeles, you're bored, you're in wherever, I probably know someone. Sure. And turned it into a business. And now I'm just raising money for companies. And, I got a couple things, going on. Some might hit, some might not, but, and I'm here.
I love it. On the make money side of the podcast, a lot of people, they start to have some connections, have relationships, but they don't actually know how to make money, or maybe it feels awkward for them. So what I tell them is to be clear in advance when things are for a transaction. Meaning, hey, Gavin, I want you to do this deal to buy these chessboard sets. You buy chessboards for your gaming store. You buy 10,000 gaming sets. I asked that company, the gaming set company, hey, will you give me 5% if Gavin buys it? That is a transaction. Versus, hey, Gavin, my friend owns a bunch of gaming stores, and then 9 months later you happen to buy, then that's not, to me, the same thing, right? Being clear in the transaction. But a lot of people don't realize they have friends. And they actually have more friends than they realize, and then that own the gaming stores and own the chessboard company and might want to do merchant processing for the gaming stores, and you can make money commission for doing the merchant processing. Like, they don't realize they actually have these connections and how to put together. What would you say to someone that's like, you know, they were a nightclub promoter or they're in the restaurant space, or they have connections, they just don't know how to actually make money from it?
Well, and that is you hit it on the head. I mean, you can make money just with your relationships, right? So I know that you started some companies and were able to be successful, but I think what you do now and what I do is I wasn't the creator of the company.
Right.
It came to me. They're like, hey man, like this just happened. I'm involved with a new seltzer, tequila seltzer. And they're like, hey, I've been doing this for a year now. We finally got the artwork. We got this, we got the website. We need money. I'm like, now I can do something with this. So then I take that idea and I got about 5 people that might be interested in the space, and we pitch and we're raising money, and we've already got a couple checks. That's kind of how I work. So you just got to find out what the two parties want.
Right.
Now, one thing, like a great example with you, I've known you for about 3 years. I think I've only brought you 2 things, right?
Yep.
Maybe you invested, maybe you didn't. But I think the mistake that people make is they try to, like, I've been pitched 10 things. Like, I'll go to the Equinox, on Sunset Boulevard, and there's a guy that comes to me and pitches me a different project every day. I'm like, bro, come on. Like, that's stupid. And also, you don't want to I represent, I work with, exactly. I work with so many billionaires, and what I don't do is pitch them every single day. Maybe once a year, twice a year, and I'll kind of see what they like doing.
Sure.
Some people don't like to leave the house. Some people love traveling. Some people don't drink alcohol. And that's kind of what happened. In the cookie business, I went to my friends and family, and they were like, "What the hell do you know about the cookie business?" My brother actually did help me in that business, but then I flew to New York to meet with a billionaire client of mine, and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this. I have an opportunity. The clock's ticking. I got about 2 weeks, and I need some money." And he's like, "You don't know shit about cookies, but okay, let's go."
Sure.
And it worked out. So I think, yes, leverage the network, use your friendships, but don't look stupid by just pitching, because then, imagine if I came to you every day with something. Sure. I'll stop.
So someone wants to make more money, but they have this limiting belief that they're capped. They make their 60 grand a year. That's who they are. They work 9 to 5. They get 2 weeks vacation each year, and that's their whole life. What would you say to them to inspire them? So what I mean by that is, I've heard stories where people are like, you know what? Go drive up in the Hollywood Hills and look around at the mansions, or go, if you live in Montana, go look at some of the huge ranches that are by you, and just, once a mind is expanded, it can't retract, right? What would you say to someone that's they're stuck at this number, they're just set in their ways, to inspire them?
Podcasts, YouTube, just, what you want to do. Like, believe it or not, I've listened to, you've done about 120 podcasts now. I've listened to every single one.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I'll take something from every single one and be like, oh, that helps me. Right. That helps me. And speaking of that, I forwarded your podcast to so many people. I'm like, oh,
that's we're up there in the rankings.
Yes, exactly. I'm serious. I'm like, my friend Eric needs to listen to this. I go, look, you might not have time. Forward to
minute 12.
Exactly. And I'll tell him exactly the number. And it really works. And there's some podcasts that are probably not like in my wheelhouse or whatever,
Sure.
but there is a lot that really helps. So I think you go find that inspiration on a podcast and see if it's for you. So I was able to, so I have like the people passion. I'm a super connector like yourself. There's been times when I've texted you and like you text me back with the other person. I'm like, holy shit, that was quick. And I enjoy it. So I think that you find out what you love. I love the travel business. I love the entertainment business. I'm partners with Mario Lopez and some other businesses. So I figured out how to make a living based on what I love. You know what I mean? Maybe I get rich, maybe I don't. I do okay. But being able to wake up and make a living for who and connecting the right people, and it feels good to me. That's what I would say. Yeah.
So let's say someone does know a celebrity or an athlete or someone that has some big social media following, influencer, et cetera. How do they bring them deals? Like, how do they bring it up? Or like, how do they make the connection and be a part of it, not just a casual introduction?
And that's the hard part because it depends on the relationship. A lot of times you do have to go through the agent and manager. You know, people like me and you, we know them personally. So just years of, 23 years of trust, 23 years of getting to know them. And you have to do the right moments. Make sure they're not at work. Make sure they're, you got to know the right time of day. You can't hit them up with their families. And you just casually say, hey, look, I have something. If you're interested, let me know. I think you just got to be very subtle about it and very honest. You got to be straight up. And one thing I do love about successful people is they will let you know right away. Yes or no. Right. It's not for me. Thank you. Or they will let you go to the next step. Hey, you know what? Run this by my manager. Let's see what they say, and then that's a whole different beast. But I was able to do, a bunch of, really good transactions with celebrities just by being honest. Like, hey, I think you might like this brand. I think you might like this. There's not a lot of money. There is money. Sometimes it's just equity. And it's worked out.
So someone starts to make money. They built up and boom, they did this deal with their friend, the famous football player. They made themselves $500,000, but now they want to invest. But there's real estate, stock market, cash flowing businesses, there's cryptocurrency, there's this bombardment of options. What would you say to someone on how to think about when they want to choose what to invest into?
Passion. I think, and I've heard it. I hate to like repeat what I've heard on your podcast, but I've heard usually that is the answer. It's just like, what are you passionate about? Do you like the restaurant business? Do you like, the cookie business, the water business? I know you're involved in so many beverages and stuff like that. I think that you just it's got to be something that you like and get ready to lose, right? So like, okay, I've invested in not much money, but some money, and lost on a bunch of stuff, but it was fun. I had a good time, maybe like a restaurant in Hollywood and that didn't do so well. And you're just like, yeah, but I did have a blast. I think I got my money back. But I just think you got to go with the heart and what you like doing. And can you wake up and see yourself doing this every day? And then there is money that you can put in and just leave it there and see what happens. And, I don't know. What are the percentages? You're a massive investor. What are you hitting? Like 20% or 10%?
Yeah, so the statistics you guys might have heard on some of the episodes is I like to call 40, 40, 20.
Yes.
I like to do 40% low risk. I'm trying to make between 5 and 9% for the year. 40% medium risk. I want to make between 10 and 30% for the year. And 20% is high risk. This is my shot at glory that if I get it right, huge win, 8x, 12x, something crazy. If I get it wrong or it takes a long time, I want the medium risk and the low risk to cover the high risk. On the low risk side, a quick example, it would be CDs at your bank paying 4 or 5% for the year. Doesn't sound like a lot, but at least you're fighting with inflation. S&P 500, averaging 11% a year for the last 92 years. Only had 3 bad years in the last 20 years. So 17 wins, 3 losses, last 20 years for the S&P 500. That's my low risk side. Medium risk is real estate, stock market, cash flowing businesses. And then the high risk, this is cryptocurrency and angel investing. What we're talking about a lot about is angel investing. When you put in that 25K, 50K, 100K, 500K, whatever that number is for you, when it comes back, you're hoping for something huge to happen, but knowing that oftentimes those won't work out. What I do is I reduce my risk. I do angel investments in companies doing between 5 and 20 million revenue. When you angel invest into a company doing 0, the statistics of it working out are very low. When you get it right, by the way, you get a huge return, but for a safety reason, I like to invest when they have at least a few $1 million revenue, prefer $5 million or higher. Okay. When you get bombarded, because you're out and about all the time, you're in meetings, you're with power players, you're Mark Wahlberg here, Mario Lopez there, people see that like, oh, I'm going to pitch Gavin. How do you say no? How do you filter?
Dan, that's a great question. And I'm sure you went through the same thing early in your career where it was hard for me to say no. Because, I'm a people pleaser. I like helping. I'm in the people business. I'm a super connector. So it was rough at the beginning. I did get in a lot of trouble and getting involved with the wrong people, just because I wanted to, and maybe I just wanted to show off. Like, oh, sure, okay, I'll connect Dan with this person just to show them that I know them. And it backfired. Now I've gotten a little tougher where like, I'll be like, this person's busy. I'll be very polite. I'll say it's really not for us now. I can't make that introduction. I mean, it is hard because some of these ideas and some of these things are really good, but we've done so many things already. I mean, obviously you've done way more than me, but I've been down the road. I get like I got pitched a beverage the other day, and I'm like, well, how much are you trying to raise? Oh, 100K. I said, come on, man.
That's not
I go,
raise,
good
yeah.
luck.
Yeah.
It ain't going to work. I go, you probably need 3 million or
Right.
whatever the number is. And I explained why, like, you need a distributor, and you like kind of like educating them, like, great idea. And sometimes if I do like the idea, I'll actually bring in someone and like, look, let me sit you down with my friend that's already done it. He's going to explain to you what you need to do. So yeah, I mean, it's just like repetitive. You just get smarter as you go, and you fail and you have wins, and you're like, look, this is going to win. You know, that's why the franchise business is so successful. You know, I know you have yours that I almost got involved in, because they give you the playbook, right?
Yeah.
They give you the playbook, and that's why you have to give them a little retainer,
Right.
you know, whatever it's
6%, 8%, whatever.
there you go,
Yeah.
exactly, and it works. So, you know, I think that now you and I are giving away the playbook. Like, I literally tell them, look, bro, this is how you make
Right.
it. Like, I get people all the time. I get people a lot of jobs too, you know, and I'm like, look, if you just follow these steps, you know, I've already done it. I've already made all the mistakes for you, you know, go, you know, you want to be an agent, go work at a partner's desk at William Morris.
Right.
You're going to be the best agent, and
sure.
you're going to get promoted, because these partners, that's just the way it is. It's been happening for years.
Right.
Some people listen and some people don't, you know, so.
So what Gavin mentioned about the 100K for a beverage company, the reason that has literally no chance of working is even when it works sales-wise, you need money for the production and manufacturing. So let me give you a life example. I had my energy drink, 55,000 stores, 43 distributors. Sounds like everything's cool, right? Costco ordered $2.2 million of product. So that means I had to come up with around $1 million to make that product. We shipped the product. By the way, imagine January 1st, they order the product. That means you ship on March 1st or April 1st. So they either want it in 60 or 90 days. But then once they get it, they want net 30 or net 60 terms from receiving the product. That means I'm not going to get paid till May 1st or June 1st. I had to come up with $1 million on January 1st when the order came in. Here's the next problem. What if your drink's actually good and we actually did really well and sold through there? They did a reorder of $5.5 million. I still didn't get the 2.2. I had to go get around $2.5 million to go make the 5.5 order. I wasn't prepared for that because I didn't get paid for the first order. You see the problem? And now extrapolate that to Ralph's, Vaughn's, Albertsons, 7-Eleven, Whole Foods. You're in a bunch of other chain stores. So it sounds great on paper that you're getting all these orders. You got to have capital to manufacture. And so you need to be properly what's called bankrolled for these situations, whether you have a snack company, a beverage company, selling chessboards, anything that you're selling. If you need a lot of product inventory, you need a lot of capital to manufacture that. All right.
Yeah, we're in, just to add to that, we're in year 5 in our tequila business, right? It's called Casa Mexico. And we're finally at dollar to dollar.
Right.
It took 5 years. Can you imagine? So all the other, we're just losing. And what you mentioned is
losing while winning, by the way.
We're winning for sure.
You're scaling, but you're losing.
We're scaling. So now we're like 2 trucks behind, you know? So we have to pay for those trucks.
Of course.
So no matter what we're making, we have to front the money and, you know, and then we just built this big ranch
storage.
and Guadalajara. Yes, exactly. So, but it's a good problem, but it is a problem, you know, and then we're, you know, sold out on the shelves, and, you know, we came out with these minis, sold out right away. It's super exciting. And you get all like tingly, but you're like, oh shit, well, we still haven't made any money. So we're basically giving $1 to get $1, which is fine. Cause I think we're going to eventually get bought out, you know, but
sure.
So it's great. Yeah.
On the charity side, why do you think it's important for, let's call it a celebrity, an athlete, an influencer? Why should they have some type of charity component to their life, whether they're supporting a charity, donating to charity, or just spending their time and energy and effort with charity?
I'm glad you mentioned that. So one thing that you know, I look, you know, you as a mentor and coach to myself, right? I really look up to the fact that you are really into charity.
Yes.
And that really inspires me. And I don't know if it's done something in my brain, but if celebrities and my friends and people don't do charity, I don't deal with them. I don't care how much money you have. I know some big players.
Right.
I'm like, if you don't have a heart, you're not for me. So I do, and so do you. I think you and I do charity work, or you, I shouldn't say myself. You. I think you do charity work every day, which is your network is freaking insane, right? So no matter who it is, it could be a stranger. You know, I introduced you to a friend just recently, and you were very generous to them and very nice. I think that is amazing. So to me, that is also charity. So that's 23 years of me working in Hollywood, and I will give you my knowledge. I will introduce you. If you're a good person, Listen, I've gotten so many people jobs, Dan. It
Sure,
would
I
blow
love
your
that.
mind. You would blow your mind.
love that.
Because it's one text.
Yeah.
I'm not a dick. You know, like I'm like one text away. I know, someone at this big agency. I'm like, hey, give them a shot. Get them in the mailroom.
Right.
Internships. I've done so many of those.
Yep.
And that really is amazing.
love
So when I work with these celebrities, I make them do charity work. And a lot of them are already involved. They, Boys and Girls Club, donating money. And what I do, I think that, I do a little bit of charity myself financially, but the big thing is I will go to my big billionaire clients. I represent about 15 billionaires right now and through my network of just connecting people, right? And I will make them, I shouldn't say make them, I will encourage them to go
and a little bit.
Well, just a little bit, like go buy this ticket.
Right.
It's, to Leo's Gala,
Right.
which is 15 grand. Go Amphar, go, and it could be small, it could be friends that are just like raising money. I'll send them a link.
Yep.
I know you've done that many times. I'll send them a link to my friend just got cancer or so, or even strangers, right? And it really does help. And I'm proud to say that, I have indirectly donate a lot of money, because it's a write-off for these guys, and it also shows me that I want to be friends with these people. I've recently broken up with friendships, if that's a thing, because they're like, oh, I don't give a shit. That's not my problem. And I'm just like, oh, well, probably not the person I want to be with. I don't care how much you pay me. I'm good. Yeah, I can't be around that negativity, and so that's my little piece that I add to society and add value is I really love to help people, in any way capacity that I can. Maybe I overhelp. My brother's like, you should probably say no sometime. I'm like, no, but it's okay. It's cool. It gives me the pleasure of. I think that honestly, I'm being selfish, and I think that's probably your problem too. Is I actually like it.
Sure.
When I go help somebody and I see them smile or they send me a thank you, I'm like, man, I think I probably got more pleasure.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, the feeling when you do charity or you help someone and you feel good about it, right? Oftentimes we don't give that privilege to other people. And they're like, oh, we don't want to ask them to donate their money or time or energy. I'm like, well, you're holding back from them. They could have that good feeling too and help someone that needs it, a homeless person, a children's hospital, senior citizen, a cancer situation, et cetera. So everyone wins in the scenario.
Exactly.
You feel good, okay, hey, zillionaire or whoever, will you donate to this thing? They feel good because they got to donate. The person receiving it is ecstatic. They don't care how they got it because they needed the capital for their situation. Everyone wins in the scenario. And too often charities had this black eye on the industry because there has been bad people, or there has been
There always is
88 cents on the dollar goes to overhead. There has been things that we hear about or see, and we're like, oh, that 24 billion went to homelessness in California, but Newsom didn't give it out, and we can't find the money. There's these stories stuck in my mind. I just said those stats so quickly because it's burned in our mind. But the massive good that it does, and the massive good that it does around our planet, and how much we need it. And now more than ever, there's so much more capital and resource through social media to help charities.
Yeah.
You look at someone like MD Motivator, he can post on social media and by tonight raise 180 grand for someone and change their life, right?
It's unbelievable.
You look at Charlie, boom, he raises 90 grand in freaking 4 hours and changes someone's life through social media. So there's other ways outside the money part through people's time and energy.
And I think that business is really going to take off. I think we're just at the beginning of where that's going to go. And I think you've done a lot of stuff. Personally, I know you take the time and do all that, and that to me is also very inspiring because we do have that power. So might as well, we're like the velvet rope guys, right? We can either say yes or no, and I think that we're the yes guys. At least from what I see from you, there's I think you've given me charity work by introducing me to some of the people that I still have relationships with today and doing business with and connections and maybe even just a friendship. It's freaking great, man. You don't have to do that, but why not?
The butterfly effect.
Exactly.
You guys start a business and go hire 30 people. I kind of helped 30 people indirectly. I didn't even know about it, but the butterfly effect.
Exactly. You don't even know who you're helping. It could be the third person down the line that you just changed their freaking life, one girl called me the other day and was crying, and she's like, "You changed my life, Gavin. You got me. I have the best job." She was about to move out of LA. She was 21, 22, just finished college, and she was ready to give up. And I'm like, "Well, what do you want to do?" She's like, "I want to be in PR." I'm like, call out my girl Allie. Allie, give this girl a job.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Gavin never asked me for shit, so he probably
Right.
You know, this girl's probably legit. And it all worked out. You know, this was like a year later. And, you know, I ran into her mom and she's like, thank you so much. And it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it took you a text message.
Yeah, I got more out of it. And I just told her, like, go pay it forward.
Right.
You know, you do something nice for someone, I'm good. Yep. You know, it's like, what do I owe you? Like, I'm taking, I don't need anything.
Right.
Like, I'm good, you know, so.
So since you've heard the podcast before, you know there's only one question I ask every single time on repeat, and I've never gotten the same answer before. You build these companies, you sell the tequila brand for $1 zillion later on in life. What percentage of your net worth do you leave to your family?
Dan, I was waiting for this question because I told you, I've listened to every single podcast. You are a part of my life. Thank you. I feel like you're like my brother from another mother because I run and walk every day, which is for my mental health. I love it. I get all my phone calls. That's when I'm texting with Mario and all, doing my work, right? So I always hear that question. And I feel like I have the best answer for you. And it's going to be honest. Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to have money because my lifestyle is so expensive. So like, Mickey Gooch is one of my clients who's sold his company to Cantor Fitzgerald for $1 billion. And I remember kind of asking him the same question. And he's like, Gav, I can't take it with me. He's like, I got my money in a trust for the kids, you know, but he is, you know, kind of like Bill Perkins, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, the book.
And I read the book. Bill Perkins' book is Die with Zero. And I think that's probably going to be my lifestyle because, you know, we're here in Miami. It ain't cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean? I go between Miami, Austin, LA, New York. You know, I go, you know, south of France, I go to Europe, and I really spend a lot of money on experiences. Mostly like helping people too. Like I'll take my friends to dinner. I'll show them you know, and being in Miami is tough because everyone comes to town. So like I'm here, like even you're like, I'm here. I'm like, well, I got to go see Dan. Let's go. I'm not sure. So I don't have children yet. I do want children. I know you have your beautiful daughter. Probably, you know, my nieces and nephews, if I have anything, okay, this is what I'm going to take. If I have anything, Dan, which I don't think I am, I will leave them something, but I give them great experiences. You know, my nieces and nephews, I introduce them to their favorite celebrities. So I'm doing, maybe that's my part, right? You know, get them the cool tickets. You know, I take care of my family. They get to do all the cool stuff that I only imagined doing growing up. You know, like I'm the cool uncle and I'm okay with that. So that's my answer. So I'm not sure, but I hope that one of these companies does do well, but I'm probably going to go spend it. I'm probably going to go spend in the south of France or do something cool. Or, you know, I'm like yourself. I like expensive hotels. I like, you know, really nice, expensive dinners. I'm a big tipper. I learned that from you. I'm a big tipper, you know, and I really do enjoy that. You know, I know you do the $100 tipping, $1,000 tipping, which is amazing. I haven't been able to join one of those because you're always in like the different city every day. Yeah, we could. You're right. But I do it all the time.
Roger here now. We can do it tonight.
I honestly do. You know, here in Miami, they already have the tip. I still tip.
Right.
I'm just so used to it, and you can see their face. You know, they're just like, thank you, man. I'm like, damn, I just paid $120 for one margarita. like fuck it.
All right, where can people find you on social? Where can they find any of the companies?
At Gavin Navarro social. You know, I'm mostly on the Instagram. Haven't mastered, you know, the
omnipresence. We're gonna fix that.
I have to. I got to somehow figure out, you know, because my life is very unique.
What's the point of being friends with me and not having the other social media platforms?
Can you imagine? I know, man. I know.
Today.
I don't know. Well, I don't have. Okay, one thing I do want to add to the podcast is I always, you know, I always call you what would you say your title is? I know you have 100. What would you say your title is?
Angel investor. That's the easiest one.
Okay. So I always tell people you're the Mario Lopez of angel investing because Mario's schedule is unbelievable. I look at his schedule and I get exhausted. I'm like, how do you, from open eyes to closed eyes, how is your schedule? Like, that's just bizarre. I can't do that. So, and I look at your schedule, right? And I'm just like, how the hell does Dan keep it together? And it's unbelievable. And that's one thing that obviously I do envy about you. And I wish I could I think in the future, we're going to be, with all the technology, we're going to be able to take Dan's brain and put it into another boy.
For sure.
That's going to happen. And I can't wait because I would do it because then I'd probably do much more and have more money and be more successful. But I mean, you guys are animals, and I look like Wahlberg too.
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
you text Wahlberg, he'll text you right back, and you're like, "Are you serious?"
4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon doesn't
He's
matter.
unbelievable. He'll take time. I just ran into him in Vegas. He took time. He's like, "Hey, let's get a picture. Hey, what's up? What's up?" Like, look you right in the eyes, and you're like, "Holy shit!"
I threw an event at his restaurant a few weeks ago.
Oh, there you go.
Boom, texted me within seconds.
Unbelievable,
Amazing,
right?
like-
It's unbelievable. But this is why Dan is Dan, Mark is Mark,
Right.
and Mario is Mario. It's like, and I would tell people out there, like, just look at these guys, mimic what they're doing, and that there's a reason people are successful.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I have some friends that won't listen to me, and they're just trying to borrow money, and I'm like, dude, there's a reason you don't have money, and there's a reason I have a few bucks. It's because you're not listening to me. You're not doing, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm going off onto this tangent. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. As you guys know, I mentioned it's not just about you. It's your friends, family, and followers from your past, present, and future. You might be thinking this 2 months from now or 2 years from now, damn, what did Gavin say? And forward the podcast to them at that point. Check us out at themoneymondays.com. Check out Go High Level, fanbasis.com, all the companies that are involved in helping us grow this brand because we want to stay in the top 50 podcasts on the planet, and we need your help liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing. We'll see you guys next Monday here at themoneymondays.com.